When we think of a witch, a clear picture pops into our heads. An old lady with a pointy hat, a broom, and a cackling laugh. This image, made stronger by hundreds of years of stories and movies, is everywhere, especially around Halloween. But behind the green skin and bubbling pots lies a much darker truth. The witch we see in movies and books is just make-believe, hiding a real story of real people, mostly women, who were treated terribly. Their story isn't about magic, but about fear, fitting in, and people misusing their power. To understand the real story of witches, we need to look past the fairy tales. The true story is complicated, showing us more about the societies that hunted witches than about the accused women themselves. As we peel back the layers of the myth, we start a journey into a past that's much more unsettling and much more human than any storybook. Let's find out the truth behind the witch. Before witch meant evil, wise women were respected healers and midwives in their communities. Their knowledge of herbs, remedies, and the rhythms of nature made them essential to daily life. They lived on the edge of the village, not as outcasts, but as guardians of folk wisdom. Their skills gave them rare freedom and respect in societies ruled by men. But as central power, especially the church, grew, the independence of these women became suspicious. Their old practices were made out to be secret and dangerous. The wise woman, once a healer, was slowly turned into a heretic. The seeds of doubt had been planted. The shift from healer to witch happened slowly, pushed by religious and social problems in medieval Europe. The church, wanting power, said that old traditions were wrong and against God. When things were bad, like sickness, hunger, war, people looked for someone to blame for their troubles. The witch became an easy target for the community's fear and anger. Religious thinkers said that witches made deals with the devil, turning local healers into big enemies. Sermons warned about hidden evil, telling people to get rid of witches. Fear and religious rules came together, setting the stage for a widespread hunt. The witch hunt was about to begin. In 1487, the Malleus Maleficarum was published, the witch's hammer, lighting up witch fear all over Europe. Approved by the Pope, it became the witch hunter's guide, especially pointing at women as easily led to evil. The book's dislike of women made being a woman proof of guilt, causing many accusations against women. It listed supposed acts of witchcraft and said to use torture to get people to confess. Those accused were thought to be guilty. Saying no was seen as proof of being tricky. Confessions made under torture matched the book's descriptions, making a bad cycle of fear. The Malleus gave leaders a strong tool, turning suspicion into death sentences. With this guide, fear became the law. The witch hunt machine was now unstoppable. From the 15th to the 18th century, the witch craze reached its peak, Europe's burning times. Tens of thousands, mostly women, were executed by burning, hanging, or drowning. Accusations could stem from grudges, property disputes, or simple nonconformity. Torture forced confessions and the naming of accomplices, causing accusations to spiral. Victims came from all walks of life: midwives, widows, eccentrics, and the unpopular. Witch hunts enforced social control and eliminated those who didn't fit in. Fear and suspicion turned communities against themselves. The cost was devastating. The witch panic crossed the Atlantic with the Puritans, breaking out in Salem, Massachusetts in 1692. Strange behavior among young women led to accusations of witchcraft, starting with the outcasts of society. Under pressure, confessions confirmed the community's worst fears. The courts accepted spectral evidence, dreams and visions, as proof. Accusations spread quickly, trapping even respected citizens. Over 200 were accused, 20 were executed. The Salem trials were a concentrated outburst of the same hysteria that gripped Europe. The witch hunt had become an American tragedy. Behind the numbers are real people, ordinary lives crushed by panic. Rebecca Nurse, a respected grandmother, was hanged even though her community supported her. The accusers, often young women, suddenly had power in a society that usually kept them quiet. In Germany, Johannes Junius, a mayor, wrote in a secret letter how torture made him confess and name others. Victims like Bridget Bishop and Giles Corey were targeted for being independent or for not following the rules. They weren't monsters, but mothers, fathers, neighbors, caught in a storm of fear and unfairness. Their stories show the human cost of widespread delusion. The witch hunts were tragedies of everyday people. We must remember their names. The Enlightenment brought reason, and witch trials faded into history. For a while, the witch was just a fairy tale villain. But in the 1900s, the witch was looked at again, seen as a healer, a rebel, a victim of being put down. Feminists changed how people saw the witch as a symbol of female power and freedom that was attacked. The saying, "We are the granddaughters of the witches you couldn't burn," became a rallying cry. Popular culture started to show witches as strong, complicated women, heroes, not monsters. The witch changed to be a symbol of strength and standing up for yourself. The old stories were taken back. Today, the witch is a living identity in modern spiritual movements like Wicca and paganism. Modern witches celebrate nature, practice magic for positive change, and reject the old demonic stereotype. The Wiccan Rede, "An it harm none, do what you will," stresses personal responsibility and non-violence. The witch is now a symbol of resistance, individuality, and standing with those who are left out. Calling yourself a witch is a political act against being held down and for freedom. The journey from victim to icon shows the witch's lasting power. By taking back the word, modern witches honor those who were once treated badly. The witch's legacy is now one of strength and defiance. As we finish up, remember this. The witch from stories is make-believe, but the suffering was real. The real victims were healers, widows, midwives, and women who didn't fit in. Women whose freedom scared the people in charge. They were hunted down to make everyone act the same and to stop women from being their own bosses. The witch hunts teach us how fear and blaming others can lead to really sad things. These kinds of patterns show up in other times when people were treated unfairly throughout history. When we see the picture of a witch, we need to remember the actual women behind the myth. Let's honor them as victims of unfairness, not as scary monsters. By telling their true story, we show respect for their bravery and strength. May their memory remind us to never let such a history happen again.